Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Rebecca Vieira, the coordinator of the Inter-American Teacher Education Network, or I-10 for short, an initiative of the Organization of American States. I'm pleased to welcome you all to this webinar, one in our series of webinars, COVID-19, Teaching STEM in Quarantine. Before continuing, I'd like to briefly introduce you to I-10, for those of you who might not be familiar with us. The purpose of I-10 is to improve the quality and equity of education through teacher education across the Americas. To do so, we offer funds and activities for educational leaders with the intent to resolve problems of policy and practice related to STEM teacher education, in which STEM refers to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. To learn more about how to get involved, please visit our website, which we'll certainly share in the chat with you today, and also should be in the emails you've received from us. Presented by I-10 project team, participants, teacher fellows, and other network supporters, this series of webinars objectives is to support the efforts of teachers during this time of quarantine, and specifically with the 3 sessions that we have tonight, tomorrow night, and the following night, to focus on returning back to school through blended learning. So this evening, as I mentioned, we're actually pleased to have 3 primary presenters, including Amorkard Brown, Chelsea Ellis Campbell, and Cheryl Bogle-GoPaul, with some additional commentary from Dennesha Frazer, Bhagya Malladi, and Dr. Joseph Thomas, all from Jamaica. So tonight's presentation will consist of 3 main presentations of about 30 minutes each, with some commentary between them and also some Q&A at the end. However, during all of the presentations, you're welcome to ask questions using the Q&A tool, which you should find somewhere along the edge of your screen. As you go ahead and post those, if the presenters are done presenting, they can certainly respond to those questions immediately, or we'll try to answer a select number of questions at the end of tonight's session. Additionally, the webinar will be recorded, and the recording will be linked to I-10's COVID-19 webinars webpage. And in approximately 24 hours, you'll be able to find it there. You'll be receiving an email, which will serve as evidence for your participation, assuming you're logged in through Zoom. And you can watch the recording there afterwards. Lastly, we'd like to express our gratitude to the Educational Portal of the Americas, which is providing support to transmit this presentation live on their Facebook page, and especially to our donor, the U.S. Mission to the OAS. At the conclusion of the webinar, you'll see a brief survey that will pop up that will be very helpful to us for determining future webinars, so we do ask that you complete it. So thank you very much, and now I'll pass the presentation over to our panelists.
I am Dennesha Frazer, Master Teacher of Business Education in Jamaica. I will guide you through the presentations today. The COVID-19 pandemic has been changing the structure of education around the globe. As authorities create equity through the availability of technology to teachers and students alike, the teacher has the task of manipulating same technology to the maximum benefit of each learner. In Jamaica, the start of the 2020 school year will be different from previous years. Various methods will be implemented to ensure that our students are kept safe through proper social distancing. To assist in this pursuit, the blended learning model will be employed. Blended learning, which consists of combining online tools with face-to-face interaction, is likely to become the norm under COVID-19. Today, master teachers from Jamaica will demonstrate blended learning by showcasing specific STEM lessons. These approaches can contribute to increasing the use and efficiency of applied technology and hands-on activities in the classroom, including problem-based and project-based learning.
Good afternoon, panelists, attendees, members of the OS I-10 team, colleagues, and parents. I am Bhagya Malladi, Master Teacher and an I-10 Teacher Fellow. One of the most important preventive measures was school closure to reduce the spread of COVID-19. This widespread school closure could affect education, but the disaster has provided a basis for major improvements in the teaching, learning, pedagogical practices. Indeed, there is a seed of opportunity in every crisis. Will students suffer from school closure? From an education perspective, the long-term impact of school closure has once again given us the Master Teachers of Jamaica to provide teachers with professional development to implement blended learning, which includes both face-to-face and online learning. I welcome you all this evening to one of a series of webinars on STEM in blended learning perspectives from Jamaica's master teachers. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy this evening's presentation. I am sure that a series of conversations could take place on strategies to integrate blended learning into your curriculum. Thank you for being here this evening.
Amorkard Brown of Monroe College and Master Teacher of Biology says that blended learning is an intertwined pedagogical ribbon or a multi-mixed pedagogical complex that uses a wide range of strategies to bring about a particular concept to diverse learning needs and contexts. For his presentation entitled The Blended Tour of the Stream, a lesson on transport in man, targeting students from grades 9 to 11, Amorkard explores the functions and components of the mammalian circulatory system using simulation, grouping, and hands-on tasks for learners.
This whole blended approach, I'm in the kitchen right now and I'm trying to approach this thing that they call the blended approach. So right here I have some face-to-face fruit, some home learning fruit, and I want to see how this blended approach will taste. So let us move ahead quickly into this thing now as we get to task with this whole blended approach. Right, so we have everything in and we are ready to blend. All right, so let us go. High speed. Right. Are you ready to taste the blended approach to learning? Let us see how it tastes. Good, 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 good. Hello, my name is Amorkard Brown, a Master Teacher of Biology in Jamaica. Today I want to share with you a lesson using the blended approach, which I think is very fitting in this era of the COVID crisis, as teachers are called upon to be agile and tactical in bringing instructions to the learner in a diverse way. And so I'll be sharing with you a lesson on that of the blended stream, the circulatory system. This lesson is titled The Blended Tour of the Stream, a figurative twist to the concept transport in man, specifically targeting biology students at the grade levels 9 to 11. The lesson will examine the functions and components of the mammalian circulatory system. The blended design, home learning modality, and the face-to-face modality will be used to deliver the complete content and goal of this lesson. This lesson, the blended of the stream, the circulatory system, will take two forms: that of the home learning modality, while students are at home, and the face-to-face modality when students come to school. Now let us first look at the home learning modality. We're focusing here on the lower cognitive skills, the lower skills of the Bloom's taxonomy, that is memory and understanding. So here students will research about the functions of the circulatory system. That may include of transport of oxygen and hormones, that of temperature regulation, among many other functions. They will also look at the component of the circulatory system. This will be done at their own time using the internet. And so if you check these objectives, you would realize that these are lower cognitive skills, and students are able to do this at their own time. Now, students will be instructed to look at a moving vehicle, preferably that of a country bus, packed with people traversing a road network. And they will be given a set of guided questions as it relates to how is it that they can relate or to compare this animation of this loaded bus traveling on a road network with that of the mammalian circulatory system. And so these questions will help students to understand the mechanism by which the blood moves around the body, and so we can pick up that connection with that of the bus moving around on a network of road structure. Now, when we look at the components in terms of the heart, we know that the engine of the bus is that main pump that keeps the blood in motion, or that vehicle in motion. And so students will make that connection with the heart and the engine and the moving bus and the blood that is always in motion. Now, when we look at the third component, which is that of the blood vessels, we will see that students can recognize that the bus is traveling on a road network, and as a result, they can make that connection with that of the blood traveling in different types of blood vessels in the body, namely the arteries, the veins, the capillaries, and so forth. And we can also make a twist onto the road network, that we have major roads that would represent the arteries, and then you have branches from that. We have or smaller roads rather, where we can make connection with that of the vein, and smaller roads to that would be that of the capillaries. And we can even go further to look at road branching from the arteries being arterioles, and that branching from the veins being venules. And so we want students to bring alive this whole concept as they involve themselves in that of investigative or independent learning at their own time, at their own space. And so, or in their own space rather. And so we are pushing this element to them, that when they're at home, they will engage in this form of home learning modality. And when they come to us at school, we will definitely try to put their learning within context and develop it into higher level skills. So see you over in the face-to-face modality when students come to us at school. Learning modality. Students will be instructed to my YouTube page, that's Amorkard Brown, for the link for that video that they will utilize to make the comparison with the road network and the mammalian circulatory system. Here, students will make the connection with the bus system and the road network with the mammalian circulatory system. Now they will move to my Google Classroom, which we will move into later on, to make that connection with using the mapping sheet to bring this concept to reality. So this is my Google Classroom, and you can see that student will be able to access that mapping sheet and the guided questions from this portal they will be able to upload it at given time, so that we are able to keep check on what is being done at home. And so you can see that using the flip model, the teacher will always be involved to know what is happening as it relates to the learning process. So though it may dubbed home learning, the teacher is always integral to provide the guidance, the resources, and to ensure that students are submitting work at specific or given time. And so the Google Classroom is very, very important as a resource center, and also a center where students can submit their work within a given time. So welcome to the face-to-face modality. Students are at school now. And so what we're going to be doing, we're trying now to put in perspective the home learning modality, seeing that students did their whole research on the bus system using the whole network. We are going to put this now into perspective before the teacher moves on to develop this lower level order thinking into higher order thinking. And so seeing that students would have looked at the whole bus system, we're going to be talking now, how is it that the bus system can be used in an effective way to help students to understand the mechanism by which the circulatory system of mammalian works. So if you look carefully right here, the bus represents that of the blood, because the bus is always in motion. So the bus represents the blood because it's moving. And right here, the engine is what keeps that blood in motion, that pump, which is a key component of that of the circulatory system. Now, if you look at that of the passengers represents the different substances that are carried into the bloodstream. So we know that we have oxygen, we have CO2, we have hormones, we have urea. So both waste and useful substances are found into the blood. And so we can allow students to recognize that the passengers, at some point the passengers will come out, and same thing with the different substances. At different point they may come off from the bloodstream into their respective areas, why either to be expelled or to be utilized in various metabolic reactions. Now, if you look at the road surface, we can allude that to the blood vessels, as we would have discovered in the home learning modality. Now, students will have to use questions to allow them to make the depiction basically a reality in terms of making the necessary connection with that of the circulatory system. Now, the teacher will administer scaffolded worksheet to support students, and somewhat of a mapping discussion sheet to help students to understand how is it that this example or simulation can be used to teach or to understand the circulatory system. So having done that, we're now going to take students to explore by using this in exploring the circulatory system to another level, where they are now going to make a model of a circulatory system which will definitely not be able to capture the exact mechanism by which, but students going to recognize how the double circulatory system works, and at the same time to see how is it that the model that they will develop may be similar or different to the actual circulatory system. So students will be placed in groups of 3, and they will be assigned these materials to develop a functional model of a circulatory system that is depicting the 3 major components, which is the pump, the blood vessel, and that of the blood, which is the transport medium. And so these are very easy material or apparatus to be sourced. within a classroom setting. So we are going to give each group a syringe, all right? And this will function as their heart, all right? And you can see right here that it has 4 segments. Yes, the mammalian heart has 4 chambers, and we can pick that up right there. And then we give them that of the blood vessel, which is the tube. We know that we don't have all the blood vessels represented here, but this would represent the blood vessels, these tubes. And we are also going to provide them with the blood, which is the transport medium. And I'm using red food coloring to add. I'm going to add some red blood cells to the plasma. Good, right there. And then I'm going to add some urea. Good. I'm going to add some hormones. All right. I'm going to add some platelets. All right. I'm going to add also some nutrients right there. And we can go on in terms of other components of the blood. And right there we have our transport medium. All right. So students will be asked now to put together, to create a model using these 3 things to depict that of the mammalian bloodstream. So what they're going to do is just simply to attach the rubber tubing, which is that of the blood vessel, all right, to the heart, all right, which is the syringe, all right. Then they're going to place it into this container, which represents the body, all right, and then blood moves to the heart, all right, to be pumped to the lungs for oxygen, and it comes back to the heart, which with oxygen-rich blood, and then it is pumped back to the body, all right, and then right back to the heart, and then back to the body. All right, so it is from the body to the heart pumps it to the lungs to pick up oxygen and to give off CO2, and the blood returns to the heart, oxygenated blood that is, and then the pump, which is the syringe here, will pump it to the body and vice versa. Now, if you notice, this model is not giving that double circulatory effect or double circulation effect, because right here we're not seeing where the blood is being pumped to the lungs, but students will have to recognize that there is some amount of limitation to this model. And this is where critical thinking or higher order thinking comes in, because right there now they have to basically compare this model with the actual model of the double circulatory system that is, or the double circulation that is present in the mammalian circulatory system. So they have to compare this model with the double circulation that is seen in the mammalian circulatory system, yes, to look at the similarities and the differences. And then now they make that connection. So right there, students now would have to have a bigger conversation in group as it relates to the limitation of this model that they have developed, what are the similarities and so forth, and what can be done to make this model a better representation. And so we are seeing basically higher order skills coming out, because right here they have created a model. They are now able to relate the syringe right here with that of the heart being the pump. Yes, and right here the blood vessels, we are not able to see, because it's not the same blood vessel that takes blood from the heart that will return it to, and so they will need to understand that. But this is basically a simple depiction of what we want them to understand in terms of the 3 major components of the circulatory system. And so out of this, you engage the students into a bigger discussion to develop what they would have been exposed to using that system of the transport. And so I want you to see where this whole blended approach comes into place, where we help to use activities like these to concretize home learning activities. And so we hope that as teachers, you will take this on in this crisis to ensure that all our students are reached some way, somehow, as we try to cater for their cognitive needs. So we are on to the evaluation of the lesson. Having completed the concept, students will be given 2 formative assessments using Test Portal, an online assessment tool that provides students with real-time feedback and also provide them with an opportunity to improve on their weak areas through the generation of test reports to each student. Students will be emailed their marked copies of their assessment and will be given appropriate feedback to move forward, either to redo assessments or to move on to the next level of assessment based on a level of mastery. By now, you would realize that this approach is a flipped classroom, which is of the rotational model. This instructional strategy focuses on students' engagement, active learning, giving the instructor a better opportunity to deal with mixed levels, student difficulties, and differentiated learning preferences. It moves activities, including those that we would have considered traditional, into the classroom. In this form of learning, we have several benefits, including communication, which is greatly emphasized in the flipped classroom model, essentially referring to student-student and student-teacher interaction. It uses more classroom approaches. Accessibility of the flipped classroom is extremely convenient. And finally, essentially it avoids the overarching idea of cramming for exam, in that it encourages understanding and knowledge. The blended approach takes into account 5 levels of interactions: student-to-student interaction, student-to-teacher interaction, student-to-community interaction, student-to-material interaction, and most definitely student-to-technology interaction. My colleagues, in light of the recent extension, or rather delay, in the opening of school, I implore you to take some time in preparing your classroom, or your lesson rather, using the blended approach. This combination may vary from face-to-face to project-based learning, to home learning modality, to inside-out learning model, and the outside-in learning model, among many others. Let us not only have a conversation about this, but let us put this into action. Blessings.
Cheryl Bogle-GoPaul of the Garlogi Primary and Infant School and Master Teacher of Language Arts believes that blended learning is a platform that fosters face-to-face community engagement through printed materials and online learning that will cater to the needs of diverse learners. Cheryl's presentation, which is entitled Once Bitten, Twice Shy, Add an Extra, Triple the Pie, will focus on a lesson in teaching singular and plural to grades 1 and 2 students.
Blended learning on the rise. Welcome to News at BLC, Blended Learning Channel 99.5 AM, with your host, Mrs. Cheryl Bogle-GoPaul, Master Teacher at the Garlogi Primary and Junior High School. It's a channel where we share ideas about face-to-face learning, parental involvement, as well as how to utilize the online platform to help your students. In segment 1, I will look at once bitten, twice shy, add an extra, triple the pie, a lesson on teaching singular and plural to grade 1 to 2 students. In the first 5 to 10 minutes, the students will be engaged in a whole group class activity. Kindly note that this lesson plan for language art at the grade 1 to 3 level are not written in the format using the 5E. However, in executing each lesson, the 5 E's and 4 C's will be evident. Furthermore, the 4 C's will be noticeable. These include collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and communication. The blended learning helps to promote lower order thinking skills and higher order thinking skills. It is while the students are at home that their lower thinking skills are developed, where they have to understand and remember basic concepts that are taught through various activities that they are given. While at school, the higher order thinking skills are developed. These include analyzing, creativity, and evaluation through activities that are given in class. In this lesson, stream, science, technology, reading, engineering, art, mathematics is noticeable. Kindly note that all the activities will not be completed in one session. Hello, boys and girls. Today we are going to learn something new and exciting. But you know something, what I want you to do for me today? We are going to look into our class, and we are going to look at 2 things that you see in class. Okay, very good. But remember, we are not going to shout when we are going to tell what are the things that we will see in class. All right? You see chair. Very good. What else do you see? You see pencils. And you also see cups too. Wonderful. Give yourselves a pat on the shoulder. Now, I want you to look around as well. Do you see any person in your class? Okay, yes. Yes, Serena. You saw a boy. You have a boy in your class. Yes, very good. Wonderful. Who else is in your class? You see teacher. Great. And who again? You have girls in your class. Very, very good. Give yourselves a pat on the shoulder. Now, I want you to think about something. While you were coming to school this morning, did you pass any animals on the road? Or your parents they have a farm? Now, who can tell me some animals that we can find on the farm? Okay, yes. We have cows. What again? We have dogs. And we also have cats. Clap yourselves, man. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And you know something? We are going to do a little song. We're going to do a little warm up. And then we're going to continue our little session that we have here. All right. So I want you to put your hands up, man. We're going to do a little exercise. All right, so we're putting our hands up, and then we are going to put our feet up. Wonderful. All right, ready now, boys and girls. Now. Let's move it, boys and girls. Here we go. You notice teachers moving just like you? Wonderful, man. Teacher can move too, you know. So we're going to pump our arms. Yes, boys and girls, wonderful. Whoa, that was an excellent warm-up. Teacher is even tired too, you know, and I know that you aren't tired. All right, so we looked at, we said we had boys, we had girls, we had the cat on the farm, the cows. So guess what? We are going to do a little song. We are going to learn a little song, but you are going to la after I la, right? La, 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 red boys, la, 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 wonderful, la, 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 la. La 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 la. One boy, singular four boys, plural one girl, singular 10 girls, plural one dog, singular 15 dogs, plural one chair, singular 5 chairs, plural 1 dog, singular, this is how we do it. Very good, boys and girls. Now, I want us, what do you think our topic will be today based on the song that we just sung a while ago? Our topic will be about boys. Okay, good try. Will be about chairs. Wonderful. Okay, I heard somebody saying something, a big word. Singular. Oh, very good. And so I heard somebody saying something else. Plural. Wonderful. Clap yourself, clap yourselves. So today our topic will be on singular and plural. Our lesson will be on singular and plural. Now, they said that in the song, they said singular means, oh, singular means one. Very good. Singular means one. Who can show me one finger? Right, one. Now, over here, who do we have here? We have a boy. We have a boy. Now, how many boys do we have here? We have only one. And the song says singular means only one. I want you to look over here. Do we have the same number of boys over here as we have over there? No. Clap yourselves, man. Wonderful, wonderful. So how many boys do we have over here? We have, let's count. 1, 2. So we have 2 boys. Who can show me 2 fingers? Right, so we have 2 boys. Now, here we have what? A chair. Do we have the same number of chairs over here? No, we have more than 1 chairs over here. What about over here? I think we have more than 1 girl over here. Oh, teacher made a mistake. All right, so we have only 1 girl. And over here, how many girls do we have? We have 2 girls. Now, I want you to look carefully on the pictures that are here. Over here, look at this one and look at this one. What do you notice notice about the end of each word. All right, so each has a S, the letter S. Now, I wonder why the S is there. Look if we have any S over here. No, we don't have any S over there, but over here we have S at the end of each word, the noun words. All right, so the S is telling us that it is more than one. Very good. You're going to pat yourselves on the shoulder. So we add S at the end of each word to show that it is more than one. So singular boy, plural boys. Singular chair, plural chairs. Singular girl, plural girls. But you know something? In the song, I think we sung one boy, five boys. But we realize that we don't have five boys there. We have two. So, it is still plural. Is it still plural? Yes. Why do you say that? Because we have more than one. More than one what? More than one boys. So we have boys, we have chairs, we have girls. So can we sing the little song again? One boy, singular, plural boys, plural one chair, singular, plural chairs. One girl, singular, two girls, plural, one boy, singular, two boys, plural, one chair, singular. This is how we do it. Wonderful. I wanted to see if you were learning, if you followed what we were doing, what we are talking about. So today's lesson, we are talking about singular and plural. And in order to make these nouns plural, we have to add the letter S. But guess what? We are going to have another activity. And this time you will be going into your group. So we're going to have two in one group, two in the other group, and two in the next group. And so we are going to do our little activity. So when the music goes, then we are going to shuffle. And when the music stops, then we are going to find the plural of boy. I wonder if anybody remembers. So here we go with our activity. Remember, you are going to be in your little group, right? So for 5 minutes, we are going to do our little activity right here. All right. Wonderful. All right, guys. So shuffle your cards, man. Shuffle it. Shuffle it. Shuffle your cards. And you're rocking the meanwhile. Yes, move it. Yes. So let us see the plural for boy. Okay. So your answer is, what did you get? You got boys. And what is there to tell us that it is plural again, or it is more than one? The letter S. And where is the letter S added? At the beginning of the word? No. At the middle of the word? In the middle of the word? At the end of the word? Oh, bravo, bravo, bravo. At the end of the word, to show that it is more than one. So guess what now, boys and girls? You're going to stay at your seat and you're going to do your little drawing of the boy, and you're going to write the word boy. And for your, what you're going to do as well, you're going to color your boy. You're going to let it look prettier than teacher's own, you know. So you color the boy and you write the word boy. All right? Very good. Now, we will be taking a short break, and then we will come back to segment 2, where we will be having an interview. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Is this Mrs. GoPaul?
Yes, it is.
I am Miss Thompson, calling from the Ministry of Education. I'm just going to ask you a few questions regarding the blended learning approach and how you utilize this approach to engage your students during this pandemic COVID-19. Okay. So, Mrs. GoPaul, is your school located in the urban or rural area?
Well, my school is located in the rural area.
And how do you engage your students?
I have used face-to-face, online, and the distribution of assignments in the community. Now, face-to-face, this is where they come to school, they are in the physical classroom, and they are given assignments and the work that they would have given. If there are any form of misconceptions, then this is where the teacher will address it so that they can understand various concepts that they would have been given. Now, online, we use WhatsApp and we also use Zoom. WhatsApp, this is where work is sent to, we create a WhatsApp group, a grade 1 and 2 WhatsApp group, and then I send work to the parents, they access it, and then they do the work, and then they will take a picture or a video, and then they will send back that work to me where I will get a chance to mark and to make necessary corrections. And for those who I do not see at school, they may have some form of challenge, then I ensure that I photocopy the assignments and I take it directly to them at their homes.
So, what skills do the children learn while at home and school using the blended approach?
You know, that's a very interesting question. At home, the students learn the lower order thinking skills. This is where they have to remember what it is that they would have been taught, and they would have had to understand exactly what it is that they are doing. Now, most of the times, they are able to do this, but through songs, through poems, through nursery rhymes. Those are the things help them to remember and to understand. At school, when they're at school, they develop the high order thinking skills. This is where they have to be analytical. So they analyze, they evaluate, and they assess what it is that they are doing to see if they have fully grasped the concepts. And that is where a teacher also comes in and assists them in enabling them to do these, so that the high order thinking skills can be developed.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. GoPaul. Do enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you so much for having me. That was Miss Thompson from the Ministry of Education trying to find out about the blended learning that is taking place. This is on the rise, because this is exactly what we have to be doing now, you know. Remember to join Mrs. Bogle-GoPaul on BLC on channel 99.5 FM, on Mondays, on Fridays at 6 p.m. And we will be taking a short break where we will come into our final segment. And this is a tour of the classroom. So you will get to understand exactly what is taking place.
Just one small boy. With just one small voice, singing out a song. With just one small voice, singing sweet and strong. One by one, they'll grow, and together sing along. And then soon all the world will be singing with just one small voice, singing out a song. With just one small voice, singing sweet and strong. One by one they'll grow, and together sing along. And then soon all the world will be singing with just one small voice, singing out a song. With just one small voice, singing sweet and strong. One by one they'll grow, and together sing along. And then soon all the world will be singing.
Welcome back. As we continue our segment, this is the final segment where you will get a chance to tour the classroom to see what it is that the children would have been doing. And we have started out, we have looked at singular and plural. So the class for today, singular and plural. So right now, when we look over here, we have the games section where the children will get a chance. This activity says activity box, match correctly singular and plural. So they will go into the activity box, and let's say this is a dog. So they will have to find the plural for dog. Now, if it is not colored, then they will have to color it. For example, here we have another activity. We have one here where you have the cats, and so they will have to color the cats, and they will tell how many cats there are. Right here we have the card game, where on these we have a banana, we have carrot. So they will have to say whether or not it is singular or whether or not it is plural. If it is plural, for example, where you have the bananas, then they will have to tell the singular form for the banana. Over here, just the same thing. They count out these balls, and when they count it out, they put them into singular and plural. And what they can do, they can put it whether it's a thing, so they will tell you whether it or not it's a thing, or if it is a person, if it is an animal, or if it is a place. Now they have their crayons and their glue, where they will use, that's the Play-Doh, so they will use their Play-Doh and they can be creative as much as possible. Here they have the building blocks, they have circles, they have various shapes, and they can put them into singular and plural or whatever they want to do. Over here we have little cards, and this is a letter of the alphabet. They can look to see whether or not the I's that are there, if it is singular, if it is plural. Over here we have the enrichment center. Now, over here, the students, when they would have completed their task, then they get a chance to get work from this one, because you want to keep them engaged at all times. You want them to explore. You want them to be able to think on their own, right? So after a while, it becomes a part of them. So here we have differentiated learning, right? So students who finish the activity early can use the extra time to turn the plural nouns they wrote to make sentences, all right? Or they play singular and plural games. They have the book here. They can look in there to find things that are singular, find things that are plural. They can even go to their bookshelf and they can select books there as well. Now, this is an activity. It says create a vegetable farm showing one or more than one, which is singular or plural, then take a picture and upload it to WhatsApp. So this, they would have gotten it, they would have created this. So you see engineering coming out, and they have the carrots there. So that's their farm. So over here you have the singular, you have plural, and they colored. So you have art coming there. Now when you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is mathematics coming out. And let's say they wrote the word carrot. They have carrot and they have carrots. Then the reading aspect of it is coming out. All right. So these right here, they have the animal. So this is the animal, singular and plural, animal and vegetable farm. So they have their pig, right? And on the farm, you see the pig eating the corn, and they have the grass. So they have the soil and all of that to show you that they're really putting in the work, to show that they are creating things. And this is one of the things that we need our students to do, to be able to create, so that the engineering aspect of it is coming out. All right, so look at it. See, they have their thing all set up. The farm is there, and you can see the sun shining, and you see the clouds and birds are flying and all of that. So they are very creative. So when they are through now, their parents would take a picture of this, and then they would upload it to WhatsApp, and then I'll be able to mark this work. Over here, so these are activities that the children can do at home. Now here you have an activity where they created a singular and plural mat. So on the mat, they have, over the singular part, they have pencil, they have plural pencils, they have cup and cups, they have book and books. So these are little things that they can do at home, and the parents will help them. And as I said earlier, that if there are some concepts that they to be cleared, so we have a Zoom meeting with the parents, and we have a Zoom account, and we tell which day that we would be meeting, and we discuss the various activities that the children would be doing, right? So we have in person, we have peer group, we have the online aspect of it. So as I spoke a while ago, the parental involvement, where the parents will meet, and we spoke about the WhatsApp. All right, so I sincerely trust and hope that you would have been enlightened a little about the blended learning that is taking place all over the world. And so to close off, we remember that we spoke about our singular and plural, singular meaning one and plural mean more than one, and we add S at the end of each word to show that it is more than one. So remember, these are all nouns. So the noun word boys, noun, chair, noun, and we add the S at each end to show that it is more than one. So tune in next week at 6 o'clock at the BLC Learning Channel at 99.5 FM, where we will continue and we will see where we add ES or IES. And so each time we learn. Next time on the Blended Learning Channel with Mrs. Cheryl Bogle-GoPaul, tuning out with the song that we started off with first. One boy, singular two boys, plural one chair, singular four chairs, plural one girl, singular two girls, plural one boy. Singular means only one, singular means only, singular means only. This is how we do it. Plural means, plural means, plural means. This is how to do it. Singular means only one. Plural means more than one. Singular means only one. This is how we do it.
Chelsea Campbell-Ellis of the Herbert Morrison Technical High is head of the Language Arts Department and Master Teacher of Language Arts. Her views on blended learning include that it is an ideal approach to engage and cater to learners' diverse styles during this pandemic. Its amalgamation of both face-to-face and virtual dissemination of information makes it possible to put excellence in the reach of all students. Her presentation is entitled A New Point of View, Exploring Story Writing with Grade 11 Students via Blended Learning. The lesson, Story Writing, reflects the incorporation of creative, unconventional, and technological methodologies to teach the elements of story writing via stream and blended learning.
Hello everyone, I am Chelsea Campbell-Ellis, a Jamaican master teacher whose area of specialization is English language. Indeed, the pleasure is certainly mine to share with you my presentation on A New Point of View, teaching grade 10 students the element characterization in story writing using blended learning and stream. I wish to register just now my deepest gratitude to JTC, OAS, and ITEN for affording me this opportunity. But we ask ourselves, how did we get here? Well, let me tell you. On a fateful day in 2019, an unwelcomed, unexpected monster invaded our lives and disrupted every facet of it. As educators, we were not spared from its far-reaching tentacles that specialize in creating distance. And so the brick and mortar space had to be abandoned and we had to make way for a new reality, a new blueprint, blended learning in the virtual classroom. We ask ourselves, what is blended learning? Is it really the way forward? Yes, it is. Simply put, blended learning is the combination of face-to-face learning and online learning. And in order to do this effectively as educators, we are now being required to retool, reimagine, re-strategize, and reassure our students, especially in a time such as this. And I challenge you even now that we will have to establish an unconditional love relationship with technology. Already I'm hearing some persons saying, I cannot. But I wish to encourage you via this presentation that it is possible With flexibility and proper planning, we can do it. How do I really prepare for my students in the virtual classroom via blended learning? Well, to prepare for my lessons and my learners, I try as best as possible to foster in them critical thinking. And one of the best ways to ensure that this is done is to reflect same in the lesson plans. And so in planning, I ensure that students are given opportunities to explore, to explain, to elaborate, evaluate as I engage them. Additionally, they're also given the opportunity to communicate, that is, to share their thoughts, ideas, and solutions. Again, they are given opportunities to collaborate where they work together to reach a goal, putting talents, expertise, and smarts to work. And of course, they are being given opportunities to demonstrate creativity and to think critically. Our school has decided that the Google Classroom platform will be our standard tool for learning when we resume. And so this classroom was specifically created to meet the needs of my students. This I did in PowerPoint, but please note, this setup can also be done in Google Slides. Now, if you look carefully, I have deliberately placed some details in the classroom. So on the bookshelf are the books that the students are currently using. And I do have my topic. I normally give my students the word of the day to engage them and to build their vocabulary that is retained. And I also have at this left-hand corner, the I Write Well wall, which is primarily aimed at celebrating students' work. Now, at Herbert Morrison, all the classrooms are outfitted in blue and are accompanied with the motivational tagline promoting a culture of excellence. As you can see, it's right here above the whiteboard. This, I believe, will give the students a semblance of familiarity. In addition to that, what makes this classroom so great is that it is interactive. So when the students get in, they will be instructed to click on the objects which are connected to hyperlinks, which takes them to different activities and different information that, of course, is relevant to the topic at hand. For example, when they come here, it takes them to a sample of a best story, and they get to see how a past student has actually characterized an individual in the story. When they click on the laptop, they get my greetings and my affirmation command.
Good morning, students. Welcome to another English language class. Remember, you are beautifully and wonderfully made. Let's give off your best today in class.
Now, the focus topic for this lesson is refining the story writing via character development. But first, here is a glimpse of my lesson plan. Of importance are the specific objectives. So throughout this lesson, it is my intention for the students to acquire information on how to characterize individuals in a story, identify the characters and their traits in select extracts, explain the inferences made about characters in the audio extract via indirect characterization, create characters using select fruits and vegetables as a stimulus, and to discuss the writer's use of literary devices to develop characters. Of course, they are expected to justify the relation between eating fruits and vegetables and developing one's personality, even from the outside within. And finally, they get to discuss their emotions as a result of the pandemic. Additionally, the students are expected to acquire coverage of the content. And even though we are engaging them in a virtual space, it is very important that content is covered. And so throughout the lesson, I expect that the students will know how to create interesting and credible characters. And by that, I mean they should develop the characters via dialogue, via their actions, via speech, what others say about them, use figurative devices to develop these characters, and use combined methods to develop these characters as well. Of course, they are to engage the characters in a realistic way, giving them real names, placing them in real scenarios so that they can display or exhibit their dispositional traits. Now, to teach this lesson, I have opted to use Jamaica's promotional campaign slogan, "Eat what we grow and grow what we eat," as the thematic thread to weave and propel this lesson. You see, as an English teacher, I am not only concerned about students' ability to write excellent pieces on characterization, but I am also concerned about their physical and mental well-being and the way they shape their characters for the future. Let's take a quick listen to this endorsement clip.
We grow what we eat has become a tagline for Jamaica's agricultural sector, with an additional call for Jamaicans to buy local produce. Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw says it is time to shift to Jamaica from being too reliant on using imported food.
Now let's dig in. To spark students' curiosity and to stimulate their interest, I will send them this pre-recorded video in Google Classroom. Of course, this challenge will get their minds on ready for learning. To facilitate the blending learning, the students will be immersed in a gamut of learning activities, both face-to-face and online interchangeably. So, as soon as they post their findings on the Padlet, I will view them and use same to fuel a lively discussion. Let's take a listen.
Calling all grade 10 students of Consumer Science and Technology. It's time to learn. But first, welcome to EduChat, the vox pop that gives every student an opportunity to express his or her view on the topic at hand. Today's topic is, are we what we eat? Is there any relation to the consumption of fruits and vegetables in the formation of one's personality? Get the facts, share the facts, and apply the facts. Let the challenge begin. Post your responses on Padlet or the Google Classroom. You have 5 minutes to do this.
Now, the Padlet is an excellent tool since it gives voice to every child, even the very shy ones. And the bonus things colleagues as students can get the opportunity to peer conference and to collaborate as they will view everybody's work together as a collective piece. Now, following our discussion online, I will ask students to take selfies with a fruit or vegetable that they think represents them. They are to select vivid words to describe said item, to extend the meaning and to elaborate on concepts as well as to facilitate communication and critical thinking. I will ask students to justify their choices in the class in the form of show and tell. Now, doing this activity in class will give students additional opportunities to forge relationships with each other, especially since the grade 10 students represent a new group. And so, I would ask this question to provide guidance on the side and to shape interpretation. Let us say your fruit of choice is the pineapple. Can you think of a character who might appear unapproachable, abrasive on the exterior, but is very compassionate when you get to know him or her? Now, To consolidate the concept of developing characters aptly, I will follow up with this worksheet via Google Classroom. The worksheets will also be copied and left at a designated drop-off point at the school for the students whose comorbidities prevent them from physically being at school. So a typical worksheet would be asking the students to write in a paragraph a characterization using their favorite local fruit or vegetable as a parallel to the character's personality. Of course, feedback would be provided. Now, in order for students to write excellent stories, they must pay attention to detail, and if the stories are going to be memorable, then similarly, they must make memorable characters. At this point in the lesson, students will be given the opportunity to observe characters who demonstrate specific idiosyncrasies and who are memorable for various reasons. For example, some persons are memorable because of the humor that they possess, or the effortless way in which they become verbose, or they possess a sense of sassiness, or they are precocious. Now, this activity actually allows the student, after viewing the video clips, to assign the words above on the left to the personalities on the right. Now, in order to do this, they have to consult their dictionaries, find the meanings of the words, write same in the vocabulary log, and then use the information to write a characterization. Let's take a listen to some of the clips.
Are susceptible, and we all can contract the coronavirus. Nobody goes and takes up sickness and say, come here sickness, jump in on my lungs. Yeah man, take root from my body. Yeah man, dab up in on my respiratory system and my tracker. Yeah man, and kill me off and so I can infect people. We have to be very careful about the messages that we disseminate, the things we sometimes unwittingly or unknowingly incite. And you never know when it can happen to you or a loved one. So we have to be careful of the pronouncements that we make. Sickness not have respect to our class, creed, color, bank book, social status, or anything at all.
And here's another.
Hear that? Box cover.
And another.
For the coconut in my 150 and I'm 100, we can't get.
No, I'm not the coconut man. Hear that? Box cover.
Now, for those students who still might be experiencing writer's block even at this point, they will get the opportunity to complete this worksheet. Now, this is ideal for the students, especially those who are weak, as the extract provides a bit of scaffolding. It also provides an opportunity for them to collaborate in their various groups, which gives them more opportunities to share and refine their ideas. And of course, these activities will be interspersed with my feedback. So for example, this worksheet that I've dubbed I Think, I Write, I Share is asking the students to read the extract and continue the story by developing the character. And of course, face-to-face in their groups, they will read the select passage about a character and see which fruit the character parallels and justify same. To further reinforce concepts, I will post this worksheet on classroomscreen.com. Now, this worksheet fosters healthy competition among group members as they work. As a group, they will contribute ideas and assist weaker students. The tool is very suitable for such a task as it allows them to click the dice to play the game, and it provides a timer. It gives command to create the ideal conditions under which they must work. Let me just quickly demonstrate for you. Timer is engaged. And as soon as the time gets to the end, then there's the sound of the bell. And at the top here, you'll see that the teacher is indicating that they should work together. In addition to provide more opportunities to elaborate and explain concepts, for example, in writing or developing a character, actually, students sometimes will be required to use literary devices. For example, one such device could be sarcasm, which is actually saying the opposite of what is meant with the intention to mock or to create or ridicule. This worksheet will be given. It is entitled Dialogue and Device Hunt. And what it is actually requiring the students to do is to create a dialogue between themselves and their best friends that reveal how the pandemic has impacted them. And of course, they are to include at least 3 literary devices, and the answers will be written in the table below. If you notice on the left, I went ahead and I created a little bitmoji of myself, just to give the students a sense of my presence in the class, and I've indicated to them that they should stay on task. At this point in this lesson, I will invite students to listen to an audio excerpt that I created using the Audio Lab app. Of course, you could also use Audacity. And this is done to consolidate the concept of developing characters implicitly. That is, students are expected to show more rather than tell. Now, this audio piece has a dual benefit because 1, it caters to students who are auditory learners, and it sustains the interest and encourage participation generally. Students will be guided throughout the activities, receiving feedback both online and face-to-face. Let me share with you.
Brittany tiptoed to the center of the doorway that led to the kitchen, sporting a dainty yellow dress that hugged her petite frame. She stretched her slender neck to see if the way was clear. The juice from the mango she was devouring snaked its way down to her hairy hand, staining her dress. She knew better than to eat anywhere near her mother's prized, pristine white sofa. It too had gotten a couple of spots. "Mother is going to kill me, literally," she said to herself. Before she could come up with an excuse, she heard a loud thud coming from the kitchen. "Mom, is that you? Are you okay?" The silence was now deafening. The mangosteens were the least of her problems now.
And so I could follow up with this guided question. What traits are implicitly revealed about Brittany from the excerpt? What pieces of evidence support your answer? This will engage even more discussion, more opportunities for explanation, and more meaningful practice. Now, at this point in the lesson, to evaluate the students, I will give them these activities. And so students will be asked to conduct an illustration that involves the dissection of foods that look like human organs, and to develop a character for a story focusing on the dominant impression that can be ascribed to the benefit of a fruit or vegetable of their choice. Do you see the signs in the English language? Another group of students would be given this task, and that is, they would be required to watch the video and list the physical effects of omitting fruits and vegetables from their diet based on the video. Following, they are to create an infomercial or movie using images of each group member to depict characters who are physically well. And of course, the videos must be accompanied with narrated details of characterization. Again, another opportunity to cement concepts of developing character. Let's listen.
Hey there, welcome to Life Noggin. Kale, no thank you. Bananas, hard pass. It's fine to not like some foods. As a little kid, you probably pouted about eating the healthy things on your plate. Now that you've grown up, you've probably gotten over your hatred of things like this giant salad monster. But what if you never ate fruits or vegetables? Fruits and veggies are full of many vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, but for the sake of time, we're going to focus on some main ones: vitamin A, B6 and C, folic acid, potassium, magnesium, and antioxidants, all found in produce. What would happen to your body if you cut all of those out and became deficient? Well, let's go from the top down, starting at your head. Your hair would be dried and frayed. Your eyesight may get worse, and you could even lose your nighttime vision. Vitamin C deficiency can cause your gums to turn purple, and you may lose some teeth. This deficiency can also prevent wounds from healing properly, so you'd likely have scabs and scars covering your body. Mentally, depression, confusion, and irritability can all surface when you're deficient in vitamin B6 or folic acid.
To give the students an opportunity to read and research, they will complete this task. That is, they are to research the fruits and vegetables that contribute to mental wellness and physical well-being, and characterize an individual who is physically and mentally well using 2 or more methods of characterization. And of course, they are to create a podcast and post their findings in an informative and creative way. Notice 2 colleagues that have included options for those students who are a bit weak, and just generally for those students who want to be given an option. Another group of students would be given this task. At the onset of the COVID-19 dilemma, many Jamaicans were in a frenzy to purchase local produce. And so the farmers really experienced a glut, since the hotels, their main market, were closed. A large quantities of produce were spoiled as a result, and the customers could not locate the farmers, and they too had difficulty acquiring fresh produce. To prevent such an economic snag again, I will ask the students to design an app that reminds individuals to consume fruits and vegetables daily, create a farmer's GPS fresh produce app to inform individuals of the availability of local produce. And of course, they are required to include a character profile of each farmer. It would be much better than this, but idea of what it would look like. COVID-19 has been a source of stress to students and parents as they struggle to feed them even after losing their jobs. To give the students an opportunity to show their gratitude to their parents while cementing the skills in developing characters, I will give them this to do. They are to use discarded material and make an I thank you, keepsake, or souvenir for a loved one who has demonstrated twice as much love and support to them in the pandemic. The art piece must display an apt and comprehensive characterization of the individual, and of course, they are to be very creative. Now, since I had no access to students, I gave my 14-year-old the task, and she produced this and this. Unearth her artistic skills. So here's the before and after picture. As you can see, the bottle on the left was about to be tossed out because it had expired, but she cleansed it and created this beautiful masterpiece. And finally, students will be asked to complete this task. They are to create a board game from discarded material entitled, "What Time Is It? It's Time to Make Sense Count and Develop Characters for Life." Of course, to play the game, they have to choose a partner and roll the dice together, and they should develop a character that falls in the category that corresponds with the number on the dice. The numbers on the clock also represent money, and they should multiply the numbers on the right of 6 and add the numbers on the left of 6 to determine their scores. Colleagues, I have come to the end of my presentation, and I thank you very much for being such a wonderful audience. As I leave, I wish to say to you, seek help and be flexible. Organize and plan your lessons creatively. Use a range of student-centered activities to cater to their diversity, both online and face-to-face. Blend all relevant strategies, skills, content, tools to make the learning and teaching an exciting and successful one. Be safe, and God bless you all.
While the COVID-19 pandemic continues and threatening the teaching and learning process, the Ministry of Education recommends the blended learning approach in an attempt to create a meaningful learning environment for the students. Since the suggested strategy was not very familiar to some of the teachers, the master teachers in Jamaica volunteered to share their expertise in this regard for the benefit of their fellow teachers to reach out to their students. Let me say thank you to the master teachers in Jamaica for their efforts to make this webinar meaningful and beneficial, not only to the teachers in Jamaica, but also the teaching fraternity in the Caribbean, South America, and the USA. Thank you very much for the teachers and other educators to participate in this professional development exercise. The partnership between Jamaica Teaching Council and OAS I-10 has created several developmental opportunities for the teachers in the past. Thanks to OAS I-10, especially Ms. Rebecca Vieira, for her support to host this webinar in their portal. Special thanks to Ms. Bhagya Malladi, a master teacher, to spearhead the activities to produce a series of webinars. Once again, thank you all for attending this presentation.
Right, excellent. Thank you so much to all of our presenters. At this point, we'd like to go ahead and invite the panelists who are here to turn on their cameras and ready their microphones, because we do have a number of questions in the Q&A, which I will be happy to read out. So we have a number of questions initially for Mr. Brown, Amorkard. We have some questions that I've actually seen throughout tonight's panel in regards to how can we help those students who are not auditory or visual learners to understand some of the things that you showed. So do you have any particular modifications for students who maybe have either hearing disabilities or don't learn terribly well in those ways? Mr. Brown, are you able to unmute yourself and come on camera?
Me too.
Yeah, we can hear you now. So I think the question is ultimately about differentiation.
Most graphs we for the visual. Am I it properly? You said audio. Hello.
I'm sorry, you're cutting out a bit. I think, would you turn off your camera? Let's see if that helps. Let me turn off your camera for you. I think I can do that.
Could you go ahead with the question?
Yes, so the question's really about differentiation. So I don't know if you're able to answer this question or not, but the question that came in from Jody and Levy is, how would you get someone who is not an auditory or visual learner to understand some of the things that you were demonstrating, I think in particular with the manipulatives? Is there a way that you suggest that teachers can differentiate for students who maybe have different learning preferences?
Okay, most definitely, because what we would recognize, we basically have charts to show them the different parts in terms of the heart. So we may not necessarily have to use the example with the bus, but we can utilize anything that the students can relate to that station. I just use to find out from, share with them some of the things they work with a similar mechanism or anything that they are exposed to. So sometimes in surveying the responses, you get to understand our students are familiar with, and so with them.
Thank you.
Pinpoint something exactly, unless I...
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I think I've captured most of what you've said. I'm afraid the connection's not very strong, but if I understand you correctly, what I think you're saying is that people can use different models in order to kind of make analogies with the concepts that you're trying to teach, and that there are different ways, there are other ways that students can model the concepts. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Great.
within their context.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, let's go to a question for Mrs. Bogle-GoPaul. There was a question here that was quite intriguing to me, which is, what about attention span? So how long of the class that you showed us about 30 minutes, about how long of that time would actually be directly synchronous instruction with young children because of the concerns about attention span?
Okay, good night, everyone. The younger students, we know that their attention span is short. So in between, I'd be doing nursery rhymes or little songs along the way.
And so in general, I guess the question, I think the question is, of the 30 minutes that you showed us, how much of that time would you, like, how big of a chunk of time would you have students actually synchronously connecting with you? Mrs. Bogle-GoPaul? You're on mute. We might have lost her. Let's see, and it looks like, unfortunately, Mrs. Campbell-Ellis keeps getting booted out. So we're so grateful that they prepared these presentations in advance. Let's see here. Mrs. GoPaul, are you still available? No, I don't think so. And unfortunately, Mr. Brown's connection wasn't terribly good. Well, why don't we just take a couple of moments here? Perhaps it would be nice to hear from Dr. Thomas, or potentially from Bhagya Malladi, or any of the others who supported Mrs. Frazer also, who are here, who would like to comment on perhaps some of the strategies that they saw among these 3 different presentations that you might encourage the teachers of Jamaica and the teachers across the world, frankly, to try to implement and to model. Do any of you have any commentary you'd like to share?
Okay. Rebecca, you can hear me?
I can hear you, Bhagya.
Yes. So this is Bhagya Malladi, and I worked with all the teachers. And basically, when we did the blended learning, we know that it's the first time that we are doing it in Jamaica. And so we met together a number of times. We had meetings on Zoom, and we really collaborated. There was a lot of collaboration among us, and we critiqued the videos and the lesson plans, and we definitely saw to it that blended approach, we could do the blended approach as far as possible. Now, the strategies were actually the strategies that you have seen today are online and face to face. But so we were getting prepared for September 7th. But according to the ministry's directive, now our schools reopen on October 5th. So basically, whatever teachers are showing, like whatever they are showing the blended approach in the physical classroom, now can also be done face to face online on Zoom. So Mr. Brown and Cheryl, yes, they're having challenges with internet, but I'm sure they would let you know the strategies that they use can also be done face to face on Zoom, where they meet the children. And if they are little children, yes, the parents are very much involved in Jamaica with the primary education. And the Mr. Brown's biology lesson, as he was saying, he used a bus, but we could use any other models or anything else that is visible in your garden itself. If you have a backyard or a front lawn, you could use anything just to make sure that you are helping the children to develop the remembering and the understanding on their own. So basically what we are looking at the blended approach is that we are first letting them develop the remembering and the understanding skills, and then when they come online, we want to do activities with them so that the concepts are reinforced over there. So we are flipping the classroom, as you call it. Okay, so if we have half of them at home and half in the school, then that's a rotation model. But we can also flip the classroom, which in fact means the teachers are now going to engage the students in various activities to reinforce concepts that they have learned online, material given to them using various tools online, using LMS platforms. So basically in Jamaica now, we have decided that we are using the Google Classroom. That's what the ministry has said. So basically Google Classroom is going to be the LMS for us, and hence all the work will be put on Google Classroom. The students will do the content, the material, and now when they come in contact with the teacher, whether it's online or whether it's in the physical classroom, concepts will be reinforced, assessments will be done, evaluations will be done, and we will make sure that we are doing a number of activities with them, since we are not really in the classroom with them all the time. So those are the strategies we are looking at.
Wonderful, thank you. And I think I'd like to add to that too. I found something that, so first of all, I'll say, I think of all the presentations tonight, I was very impressed with the amount of content creation that everybody invested in, but they also asked students to create. So in the case of Mr. Brown, having students create both mental models and physical models for circulatory systems, with Mrs. Bogle-GoPaul having students create sets of materials in order to understand singular and plural. And in the case of Mrs. Campbell-Ellis, creating personalities and also creating good gifts for people that use rich language and character development. But I think there's one other final comment that I'll make, because I don't think our panelists are able to really provide any additional comment this evening just because of connectivity issues. But that is, I had one colleague who felt really bad, a science teacher. He felt really bad because he didn't feel that he was very good at creating content. And he was afraid going into the school year that the parents and the teachers might blame him for not doing real teaching if he doesn't create all of his own videos. And there are many, many good resources out there as well that teachers can pull from if they can't make their own videos. But the way he ended up justifying it, I think, has really shifted my thinking about blended learning and online learning right now. And the way he ended up justifying what he's doing is he said there's two ways to think about teachers. Teachers can share information, so it can be information transfer, or at least that's the hope. And the second thing is sense making, taking information, making it meaningful, connecting it to what we know and thinking deeply and critically about it. And he ended up explaining to his students at the start of this year that he's no longer going to do information transfer. He's going to rely on all the good resources that are out there, things created by his colleagues, things created professionally, but he is going to spend his time focusing his energy on helping students to become sense makers. And I certainly saw that among all three of tonight's presentations. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I think that's something that I'm taking away as a reinforcement from these presentations tonight.
And Rebecca, one more thing is, we have to help our students to become now the producers of knowledge, not the consumers. They shouldn't be replicating what we are doing. So we, as you said, we are going to help them to create and then connect it to the real world scenarios, which is so important.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much to everybody who's come tonight. I just want to remind you, I-10 and the OAS in particular, we're here to support. The OAS is a primarily political organization, and so they often have a lot of dialogue with ministries of education, particularly in response to coronavirus. And so there's a number of resources online about how our ministry is responding. I welcome you to check those out. There's also the Educación OEA, which has also courses in English, which might be of support to teachers. So I do welcome you to check out some of those resources. Well, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you so much to the ministry. Thank you so much to JTC. All of you will be receiving an email within 24 hours with a YouTube link to this video recording, but you can also find it on Facebook. And if you wanted to attend, and I hope you do attend tomorrow night or the night after for some additional presentations from Jamaica's teachers, please visit the first link here, oas.org/en/I10, and you can register for the other two. If you've registered for tonight, that does not automatically register you for the next 2 nights. And please do try to arrive early. We have a record of all registrants and also attendees. But if you can't get in, of course, you can watch it on Facebook as well. So thank you so much to everyone. Have a wonderful evening and please stay safe.